Okay, so this is where we get an overview of the concepts we're talking about in the course, just to kind of set the stage. Okay, hang on here. Okay, here's a little agenda, what we're going to talk about. We're just going to define a few things. We're actually going to start by defining mass, and then defining communication, and then when you put them together, what is it? Mass communication, what is it? And then we're going to look in more detail at what comprises communication. Your book has a nice diagram showing source, receiver, medium, message, and effect. And we're going to talk about each of these areas. So mass. So when I put up the word mass, just think about that word. And I'm going to insert a discussion here where you could write down 3 sentences, each using a different meaning of the word mass. Sorry guys, it's 2:30 in the morning while I'm doing this. Alright, so you're going to go ahead and do that. And you're just going to think about the word mass and what it means. A lot of you are Catholic will think this maybe first. This will be the picture that comes to mind, but actually this use of the word mass is a whole different branch. So it's evidently not linguistically related to the other branch of the word mass, which has to do with volume, weight, numbers, large numbers. And that's really the part of mass that we're dealing with here with mass communication. This is a little picture of everything has a mass, so this would be a scale where you would put whatever you wanted to weigh on one side, and then you would put these little, you see the brass weights there, 1 gram, 1 this, 1 that, to determine the weight or the mass of whatever it is you're weighing. Of course, the word mass is used in physics, energy, or E equals mc squared, which is Albert Einstein's famous equation equating mass and energy. I believe what this really is energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. And of course, that makes sense, right, everybody? Okay, but here's it's all about quantity and weight and volume, but mass is just the idea, I think, right? It's just this huge crowd of people, a mass gathering. Okay, and when we're talking about mass media, that's the use of the word mass that we're talking about. Media that reach lots of people. So here's, let's just pull the darn thing from the dictionary, and here's some, use of it as a noun and then as a verb. The crowd massed together is to form or collect into a mass. But so large quantity or some, I think, is really what we're talking about here. So I think we've taken a good hard look at mass now. This one's a little more complicated as a word. The definition of it, the derivation of it, where did the word come from in language? Does it come from Latin or Greek or Arabic, or what did it originally mean? What other words are related to it? I just like to look at definitions so we really understand what we're talking about. So I looked up the origin of the word, the derivation of the word. It comes from the Latin. One Latin word is communis. As you see here, it's a noun. It means common, communality, or sharing. And as a verb, it means making something common. And the word communicate in communication is related to the word community. Okay, so it says here at the bottom, communities are supposed to be formed with the tie of communication. It's the foundation of a community. Where there's no communication, there can't be a community. So the word communication has to do with community. Okay. which is a group of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common. Feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals, the sense of community that organized religion can provide. And look, in our world, in our society here, we are all members of many communities, most likely, hopefully. uh, there's an overall community, I think you could say, of this whole country. There are communities of people in institutions we are involved with, like FIT. We have the town we live in, or the neighborhood we live in could be a community. Our friends are community. If we're on an athletic team, that's a community. So there are little communities and big communities, groups of people with things in common. And we're normally, each of us, a member of lots of different communities. I pulled this from a presentation I saw a long time ago in my career about how to give a good presentation. And that presentation also started with a definition, and they define communication, as you can see here. It's an interchange of ideas between two persons who are each aware that the other is present. Two people being aware of each other. The speaker and the listener, the source and the receiver. Yeah, that's important. This is the little simple diagram that your book offers that I referred to earlier. A source, the green ball on the left, sends a message through a medium to a receiver, producing some effect. That's the most basic drawing of communication and what it is. Okay, so mass communication is the process of creating shared meaning between the mass media and their audiences. And that's from the author of your textbook. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. So we've got mass media on one side of this equation. Let's go back. Okay. Well, there's a source on one side. Then there's a mass medium that reaches lots of people. So really, for mass communication, the diagram should show lots of receivers on the right-hand side. Okay. Then it really becomes not just communication, but mass communication. Okay. This is from your book. The data are a little old. It's 2018, but it's still relevant and probably not too far from where we are today in 2021. This shows the amount of time every day people spend with mass media, different types of mass media. On the bottom, you've got each one of the mass media, radio, TV, games, internet devices, tablets, smartphones, etc. And then you've got on the top of each column how many daily minutes are spent with each medium. My guess is that live TV has gone down and that smartphone has gone up since 2018. But it shows that, gee, we spend a lot of our time engaged with media, don't we? Yeah. This is something I pulled. I think it's Statista. And I like quoting sources, but I believe that is correct. I just wanted to get some data that were a little more recent. So this is first quarter 2020 by age group, time spent with media. The age groups are on the bottom: 18 plus, 18, 34, 35, 49, 50 to 64, 65 plus. And you can see the green is smartphone, The blue is live and time-shifted TV. You can see that there's more TV viewership the older we get. And there's 18 plus is kind of everybody, by the way. And then you've got the breakdown of each one of the groups, and the younger group, 18 to 34, that you guys are in. You can see is a lot less TV and a lot more phone. So, and there's radio in there, which is nice to see. Probably podcast mostly these days. So again, it just gives you a sense. But you've got 750 minutes a day on average, which is a fair number of minutes. 60 minutes in an hour. So that's over 10 hours. Oh my Lord. Okay. Okay. All right, so mass communication, we looked at Olympics. We talked about Olympics as a big, huge mass communication event. Can you think of other, big kind of mass communication events, TV events or big programming things that a lot of people looked at, or a big thing that hit Instagram or Facebook that would have drawn a lot of viewers, something that went viral that drew a lot of viewers? Write down now, I just want you to think about different media that you're exposed to and some things that really made an impression, something that you thought really made a big splash out there and that you liked. Write down those three things. Okay, I've got three here that I pulled up. So I'm going back to the Olympics, but I'm thinking about the opening ceremony for the 2020 Olympics. Opening ceremonies are supposed to get a fair number of eyeballs, because each country that hosts, usually puts on quite a show. What did you think about the ones this year, those of you who watched it? I've always liked Family Guy because my daughter, who's 25, now got me into watching Family Guy over the years. It's pretty funny. It's a little crazy. Latest episode of Family Guy is a mass communication event. And then in a different kind of a tone, I think we'd all agree, President Biden's inaugural speech was a mass communication event. So I want to, in our next class, I want to talk about and dig into one of these mass communication events and kind of open it up to, look at who's the source, who's the receiver, what's the message being sent, kind of analyze the message, and really try to get us all using some media literacy and understanding what's going on here. Okay, but I want you guys to vote on which one of these three events you want me to and us to discuss in our second week class. So we're going to take a minute for you guys to vote, and then whichever one wins, that's the one we'll talk about. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop this. Not quite 15 minutes, but that's all right. And we'll stop this and then pick it up on the other side of the break.